Okay, hello everybody out there. I want to welcome you to my video series on an introduction to Rhino 5 for industrial design. My name is Jim Deasy, and in this very first video, I'm going to be just taking you through the procedure of opening up Rhino for the very first time. This series is meant for people that have never done any 3D CAD before in their entire life. And so if you're in that boat, then welcome. And then just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a freelance industrial designer, and I'm also a teacher at the California College of the Arts in San Francisco. And I teach two classes there. It's Design Communication 3 and 4, Introduction to 3D CAD, and also Advanced SolidWorks and Animation. So anyway, here we go. This is Rhino, and as you can see, when you open the program up for the very first time, there's quite a bit going on. It's a complicated program, right? There's a lot of buttons staring at you. There's this window that's popped up. There's also looks like there's a new document that kind of opened up there in the background, and it can be confusing how to proceed right off the bat. And believe it or not, this is actually a very important moment as far as your design process goes. When you first create a new document inside whatever CAD package you're using, there's a lot of opportunity to make some really big mistakes that can cause you trouble all the way down the road, and you don't want to be in that boat. I mean, one thing you want to make sure about is that you have your new document set to the right units so that you don't start to build some killer model and then find out right as it's done that you were working in inches instead of millimeters, and then you got to scale your model down or something like that. And then, there's just also some decisions to make as far as tolerance goes. You got to think about what kind of file you're going to be making, stuff like that. So one thing about Rhino is that it will capture whatever settings are set by the previous user and apply them to this new document that you see here in the background. So we definitely don't want to use what comes up there because we have no idea who used the computer before us, right? If you're using a school computer, it could be an architecture student who is making a high-rise building and has it set to feet. Could be some automotive designer who's making a semi-truck. And trying to dismantle whatever settings were set before you got there is a lot more work than just setting up a new file that's clean right out of the gate. So when Rhino first turns on, it'll give you this. This is your new document dialog box, or the Rhino splash screen. And it may be set to the recent files tab, which is here, and in which case it'll be displaying a bunch of files that somebody else worked on before you got there. You definitely don't want to touch any of those. You want to go over here to the new tab and take a look at the templates that are provided here. The one I always use as an industrial designer, most of the stuff we make is like desktop sized, wireless speaker, fitness band. Everybody's making VR helmets now. That would be considered a small object in the world of Rhino. You can read the description. It says, this template file for building objects the size of a truck or smaller, and for objects which must be built to manufacturing tolerances. So I like that last bit there where it says manufacturing tolerances. I like to assume, even if I'm working on ideation models or just really loose concepts, that if things go well, I could be going into manufacturing with this file. So I like to always build at that level, just a sort of optimistic way. So you could also go with large objects millimeter. There's this millimeters file as well. This is just going to give you a larger grid to work on, but the tolerance is a little bit lower. You can see here it's not manufacturing tolerances. So, granted, you should be working in a design team where, as the ID, you're going to be handing off your files to an engineer at the end of the game, but you also may be an independent freelancer like me and taking your product from initial concept all the way up through manufacturing on your own, in which case you want to be down here on the highest tolerance you can be at. So anyway, this is what I'm going to go with right here. Let's just keep kind of looking through here. If you have recently purchased Rhino and want to double check that your license is all set, there's a tab here for license, and you can click on that and it'll tell your license is set. If you have other files that you want to open from another student or a client, you can go here to open, and you can open any files that are on your computer. So quite a few things to check out on this first splash screen here. There's also links to like Rhino News if you care about that, and then there's also links to some tutorials and webinars and stuff like that if you want to go down that path. Okay. Something else can happen too with this thing. When you first open Rhino, you may just hover your mouse off the splash screen and it'll just disappear, in which case you're kind of like, oh, I guess I'll just use this file, and who knows what kind of trouble you can get into that way. If that happens, if accidentally the screen goes away, you go up here to the Help tab, open up Help, go down to About Rhino, and it'll pop right back up. Okay. Another thing you can do is you can also go over to File and just go to New, and you'll get a new document dialog box, which will be set to the template files here. Okay. So you don't get all the bells and whistles of having links to Rhino News, but you still can open up a nice clean template that has the proper tolerance and the units set correctly. So once you choose the template you like, it's important to double check that it worked. I mean, we always want to double check everything so that we know we're on the right path. In order to double check the units on a new file, you can go down here to the lower left, and you can see here where it says millimeters. You can right click on that and go to Unit Settings, and it'll open up the document properties and tell you that your units for the model are set to millimeters, and there's the tolerance as well. You can also double check the units for the layout, and that's also set to millimeters. You hit OK, feel good about yourself, your file is set up correctly. Over here in the lower right hand side, there's this little ticker here that's kind of giving you information about the file, memory usage, and time since your last save. And then eventually it'll get to the part where it's going to tell you your absolute tolerance, which is there. Okay, so that's another way to check that. Even one more way to check all this is to go up here to this icon here. This is your options button. Just click on that once and it'll bring up your options for the entire file. And you can see again, here we are in the same location, units, model, millimeters, tolerance, we're set. Okay. As a new user, another thing I like to do while I've just got this options bar open is just go to toolbars down here, unfold that, and go to size and styles. And I like to have my button size set to large. Okay. I think by default it's set to medium. So what you may be seeing as a new user is something like this. Not too big of a difference, right? The icons are just a little bit smaller, but as we introduce ourselves to this program, it's really important to just have the intention to try to be memorizing what all these little icons do and what they're for. And that can be one of the biggest challenges of Rhino, because some of these things just don't make sense, right? Lock objects, what does this one do? I mean, it's, who knows? So making your icons just a little bit bigger, just help them stick in your brain a little bit more. So I like to go to options, set this to large. Let's see what happens when they go to small too. What if it looks like this? Oh my God. I mean, this is for pro users right here. I mean, maybe you've got, fantastic vision and that's okay for you, but I guess this would be for people that want to add a bunch of custom tools to their toolbars, and you can really get a lot of extra space up here in these toolbars. You can really stack it up there. But anyway, okay, let's go back to options, set it to large, and that's what we like. Okay, as you get better, you can adjust this sort of thing, and you don't have to take my advice. It's just for me. I like to really get these things implanted in my brain. So okay, so that's that. I just wanted to go through the procedure of opening a new file very first time, and then one more thing we'll do is we'll just go to File and we'll go to Save, and we're just going to save this document. Even though we haven't done anything, we haven't built anything, we haven't drawn anything, we're still just going to save the file so we can see what that's like. You go File, Save, take a look at what kind of file type you're about to make. It's called a 3DM file. And then just for fun, click on that drop down and take a look at all the different file types that Rhino is capable of making. I mean, one of the Rhino's real big strengths and why so many people like it is because you can open literally any kind of file, and you can save out any kind of file as well. So maybe on the side or something you're learning some other CAD package, like a lot of people are using SketchUp nowadays. You can make SketchUp files from here. You can do STL files for 3D printing. You can do VRML files for animation. You've got literally, I mean, even AI files for Illustrator and stuff like that. So just take a look at that. But then remember, for now, we're just saving a 3DM file. And so give it a name and save it. I usually save everything to the desktop and then organize it later. So we'll go like that. Look up here in the upper left and you can see that the name has taken and that your file is saved. And then down here in the lower right, you can see here the ticker tape should tell you how long it's been since your last save. And I promise it's coming up. 0 minutes. Perfect. There you go. So we're confident that the units that we wanted are set. And since we just did a save, we know when we open this file again in Rhino next time, it's going to capture all that and we won't have to go through this procedure again. So look at that. It takes almost 11 minutes to just open a file and get everything set. But that's that. So anyway, hey, thanks a lot for watching. In the next video, I'll actually start to explain what all of this stuff is that you're looking at. And it's a lot. So stick with me and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.